Welcome to Getting Sketchy Live, brought to you by thevirtualinstructor.com. And now, let's get sketchy.
Hello there, everyone. Matt here with thevirtualinstructor.com, and welcome to Getting Sketchy Live, the greatest live broadcast in all of YouTube. For those of you who don't know what Getting Sketchy is all about, it's where either myself or Ashley, we try to create a drawing for you inside of 45 minutes. And tonight is episode 4 of season 12. So tonight I'm going to be doing the drawing, and we're going to be working with pen and ink. But before we get into that, let's say hello to Ashley, who's sitting right over there. How are you doing this evening?
I'm well, Matt. Thank you for asking. I hope you folks are well also. We haven't been together for a couple weeks, so I'm glad to be back. I'm really excited about Matt's drawing because it's a bear, and that's one of my favorite animals. But also, I'm glad to see him draw with pen and ink tonight. It'll be a little bit of a change from the media that we've used so far this season.
And this one is going to be a bear to finish in 45 minutes. And I just realized when I'm talking to Ashley, I have moved one of my monitors over to the side, and I can't see him. He's over there.
Yeah, I actually said hello to the back of Matt's screen.
I just realized that. Sorry about that. We'll make sure we move that for the second broadcast. But we'd like to welcome everyone who's watching this live. Of course, if you're watching this live on YouTube, there is a chat box. You can post comments and questions, of course. If you do have a comment or question specifically for me or Ashley, if you'll use the super chat function, that'll help us see it a little bit easier, and that will also help out our channel as well. And tell us where you're from. We love to see where all of you are from.
Colorado, PA, Chicago. We got a lot of folks from the UK here tonight, so that's great. Keep putting those up. Norway. Putting where you're from in the comments. It's great to see. North Wales, fantastic.
Yeah, there are a lot of people from the UK tonight. So
and it's pretty late there.
It is pretty late there.
So you guys need to go to bed in 1 hour. Not now, but in 1 hour.
I have no idea what time it would be there, but
gosh, like 2:30 in the morning.
Oh, that's really late. That's really late. Well, we're glad to have you guys, of course. And if you're watching this sometime in the future, in other words, if you're watching the recorded version of this, we'd love for you to leave a comment below too and tell us what you think about the broadcast and the drawing and all that stuff. Of course, all that's welcome. And if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you're notified when we go live like this, and also when I post new videos to the YouTube channel. And give this video a like if you like it, of course. And after this broadcast, we do the live lessons, which are part of the membership program over at thevirtualinstructor.com. Our live lessons are more in depth, and they're for an hour each week, and they're all recorded and stored in our vault, which reminds me to tell you about the membership program at thevirtualinstructor.com. There's a link in the description below if you want to go check it out. The membership program is expansive. There is a lot of information there. We have lots of video courses on drawing and painting covered in pretty much any media and subject matter you can imagine. And as I've already mentioned, the live lessons, which are broadcast live each week and stored in our vault, those live lessons, I started broadcasting those in 2012. So there's quite a collection of live lessons recorded for you. And there are weekly critiques as part of the Members Minute, and there's also a year-long curriculum for visual arts teachers. If you are a visual art teacher that teaches at the secondary level, middle school or high school, the school year is coming up pretty quickly, and I know the feeling well. I know the feeling well of school's getting ready to start, and you need to prepare and get everything in order for the school year. And we've already done that for you. So over at thevirtualinstructor.com, part of the membership program is that year-long curriculum for visual arts teachers. And it's not just a curriculum that you follow, it's everything you need to teach. It's all of the videos, all of the handouts, there's PowerPoint presentations, there's lesson plans that are printed out and ready for you to show your administrator. Everything you need for an entire year is there for you. So check out the membership program. There's a link in the description below. And if you want to just check out 3 of our course videos and ebooks for free, you can do so. There's a link in the description below for that as well. If you sign up for that, that'll put you on our mailing list, and you'll get a ton of free lessons as well. So all of that is in the description below this video. And I think that is it, right?
I believe
is that everything
so.
we cover?
You told everybody where to find the reference?
Oh, no, I didn't. No. Okay. So the reference photo I'm working from tonight, it'll be on the screen, but if you want to have a copy for yourself, you'll need to go to the community tab on this YouTube channel. So you're watching this video right now, but you might not be on the channel, which sounds strange, but that's the way it works. To get to the channel, you can click on the little icon of my face in the lower left-hand corner underneath this video. That will take you to the YouTube channel. Then you can click on the community tab, and then there you will see the photo reference with a link back to this video so you don't lose your place. So anyway, that's it.
There we go.
All right. Last week we were off. We weren't here doing this stuff, so I feel a little rusty after 1 week. Do you feel a little rusty?
A little bit.
No, you don't.
You don't feel rusty. Gotta knock the rust off.
You're sitting over there confident.
I'm not rusty. I'm not drawing tonight.
Right.
So,
that's why I feel so rusty.
Right. The anxiety
and shaky. I feel shaky and anxious filled.
Oh boy. We're
anxiety
gonna get some
ridden.
real character to your lines tonight.
That's what I was thinking.
Pen and ink.
I was sitting here thinking, boy, what a straight line I'm going to draw tonight. Anyway, let's go ahead and switch over and get back into this one. We're not getting back into this. We're going to start this one.
Let's get it started.
Yeah, let's switch over. All right, so there's a little bit of a switch up with the materials that I'm working with tonight. I am going to be using pen and ink, and I'm going to be using technical drawing pens. These are by Staedtler, and I've got 3.05s. So you might say, why do I have 3 of those? Well, these types of pens, whether they're microns or the ones by Staedtler, they tend to dry out pretty quickly. So when you're working on it, you might notice that your line kind of changes a little bit. By having a few at the ready, I can just put the cap back on, let it kind of reinvigorate itself while I work on another one. And I also have a 0.1 and a 0.5. These are going to make larger marks or wider marks, and these are going to make pretty skinny marks as well. And the paper that I'm working on, instead of smooth Bristol paper, I went to my stash of papers, and I have 1 sheet of smooth Bristol paper left. But I also have some pen and ink paper by Canson, and I've never used it before. And I do believe that this paper was sent to me from one of my dear subscribers, someone who's very special to me and my family, and they sent us this paper, and I've never tried it, so I'm going to try it tonight. It feels exactly the same as smooth Bristol paper.
Is it as thick as Bristol paper?
It is not. Okay. That's the difference.
That's what
it's not like cardstock thick. It feels like it's probably 70 pound, but it's nice and smooth, and that's what I'm going to be working on. The size of my picture plane here is 5 inches wide by 6.5 inches tall. Now the reference is a little bit taller than that, not by much, but a little bit taller than that. And if you go to the tab and you get the photo reference that I'm working from, which is right over here, you'll notice that I've got a white space of a gap down there at the bottom, and that's because I'm going to change the composition a little bit. I'm going to allow the edge of the rock face to come down a little bit further and have the bear in the upper thirds. Okay. So we're going to have the bear on this area and the rock face right here. All of the stuff around the bear and behind the bear, we're going to leave out of this drawing. We're going to only focus on the bear and a little bit of detail on the rock face. So
enough to know it's a rock.
Enough to know that it's a rock.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, maybe some plant life. We'll see how much time I have. I'm going to spend most of my time on the bear, of course. But I think I might be ready to start the timer. I'm nervous about this one.
Matt was not nervous a half an hour ago.
I was nervous half an hour ago. You just didn't know how nervous I was.
We're all going to.
Why is there so much talking? Because this is what we do. We talk. We're not going to sit here and just be silent. We're not going to sit here and be silent and draw. This is supposed to be somewhat entertaining. Mm-hmm. It's a conversation with you folks out there.
Of course, course, we'll be talking about the drawing too.
Right. All right. I'm going to start things out with an HB graphite
Okay.
pencil. I'm going to go ahead and start the timer now.
All right.
All right. 45.
The timer's not visible.
Right. I hadn't started it yet.
Oh, okay.
And then you said, oh. All right. Here we go. 45 minutes on the clock. I'm going to start by drawing out a general idea of where the rock is going to be. And then from there, I'm going to place the bear on top.
All right.
So a little bit different than how I would normally start things, but I just want to make sure that I get the bear in a good location on the picture plane. So we're going to start with the rock face, and that's enough information from that. All right, so now I'm going to look at the top edge of the picture plane and try to figure out where the top edge of the bear needs to be, and I'm looking at his rump here, or her rump, and just going to get an idea of how far down it needs to come. It looks like the head of the bear is extended well over the edge of the cliff, somewhere right in here. And maybe straight across here for the bottom of the chin. And I'm drawing very lightly and using the edge of the pencil really to make these initial marks. I'm being very tentative here at the beginning.
But he says this is a great teaching lesson to show how one can alter the reference photo for our convenience. It's art in the end. That's right. Yeah, I'm, nowadays you could use generative AI just to continue that rock down there, just to have something to look at. But we've had generative AI at our disposal all these years in just our own brains. So you can't necessarily generated, I guess, now, but you can generate it in your mind, and that's what Matt's done with that rock's edge.
Right, I'm generating this in my mind.
Right, generating in his mind. So.
I'm using Matt Eye.
All right, we've got a super chat from Jan. Great to see you back. Looking forward to the banter and art tonight. Fantastic, and thanks for being here week after week, Jan. Awesome. Thank you, super chat. We did have a question earlier, and it was I don't remember who asked it, but it was did we either of us draw on our week off? And that's a good question because Matt and I do a lot of the drawing and the artwork that we make is for the virtualinstructor.com and for you guys here on Gettin Sketchy. But I did a little bit of drawing, and it was just for me. It wasn't really art. So I drew some schematics of cabinets that I want to build. And I love drawing that kind of stuff. Sometimes I think that I would have been content as an industrial designer, just drawing bookshelves and forks, pencil sharpeners, all those types of things, what I love to draw. So forks, yeah. So I did do a little bit of drawing, but it was really just to help myself imagine what I want. It's shelving to hold artwork, and what I want it to look like, and then from there I can start figuring out my dimensions and buy all the wood to make it. So I did do drawing, but it was really thinking. I was thinking by drawing.
And I sketch a lot on like just scrap pieces of paper with ballpoint pens and stuff, but I didn't really do any finished drawings or anything like that. But I did work on some other creative endeavors, working on little movies and films that are not going to be seen by any of you guys. Making little surf movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was
still being creative. I don't
know if it was if I told, were we on Get Sketchy or the live lesson when I told everyone about my shark encounter?
I can't remember. We may have been on the live lesson.
Yeah, I think it was the live lesson. Anyway, ever since I've encountered that shark and had that run-in with the shark, I'm going to have a GoPro with me out there in the water.
We may be drawing in just weeks' time a picture of a shark that Matt captured on his GoPro breaching the water.
I've drawn several sharks.
That's true.
You know,
it is a favorite subject of yours.
All right, so you can see that I'm lightly drawing the subject, but I've started thinking about shapes And once I got a general idea of where the bear's body needed to be, now I'm refining the shapes a little bit.
I like how you started out with very angular, straighter lines. It's just
Yeah.
you blocked in those shapes, kind of finding them
Yeah.
initially. I'm a big proponent.
You're
of,
an angle guy.
I like the straight
You're an
line
angle
drawing at the
grinder. Let's see here. This little hump though is it needs to be like, it looks like there's a diagonal line down to the arm. See that?
Mm-hmm.
So
How they
the hump,
relate
I
to
think,
each
needs
other
to
a little
be
bit.
a little bit
But he says,
further
please take
forward.
care of on any sharks. And
Yeah, that's
Mary Elizabeth says, stay out of the sea.
no, I'm not going to stay out of the sea. But after that encounter with the shark, I've had to just tell myself, there's sharks everywhere, and they're not going to mess with me most of the time.
And you've had sharks in your proximity numerous times surfing, and we're none the wiser.
Right. I'm sure of it. I'm sure
the
of it.
shark that makes it so scary.
Yeah, right. And then going back into the water, I knew I just couldn't, stay out of the water very long. I only was out one day, and that was the day that I saw the sharks.
Mm-hmm.
All
Philip
right.
says the pencil is light. He's having a hard time seeing it. That's true.
Yeah, the pencil is going to be light because
really
we're finishing this with pen and ink.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to draw a dark line drawing with pencil.
Yeah, be careful
when we're going to finish it with ink. So just keep that in mind. All right, now that I've got the basic shapes, now I'm going to kind of refine some of the details. I'm going to figure out where the brow line is. And I've made my bear a little bit more dynamic than the bear that's on here. There's a little bit more of a diagonal, and I like that, so I'm not going to change it. And we can find these little ears. So again, just some shapes up here. And this little ear comes up over the top, about right there. Let that come up a little bit higher.
This bear looks like he's focused intently. His gaze,
getting ready to pounce.
His ears are turned forward. He's studying something.
Getting ready to pounce on a human.
Yeah.
He's got a little sly smile. Like that human doesn't even know I'm up here.
Oh, I see the smile now. Yeah.
Doesn't even know I'm here. Getting ready to pounce on him. Take his
I love bears.
peanut butter and jelly
dangerous
sandwich.
Yeah. Well, somebody had asked if our bear here was smarter than the average bear.
Oh, hey, boo-boo.
So he's pretty smart.
The younger people aren't going to know who we're talking about.
Probably. It could be true. Pop culture just keeps turning, keeps changing. Can't keep up with it. Why try, right?
What you're talking about?
Pop culture.
Yogi Bear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
you got it. When I see a lot, famous young pop artists nowadays, usually I have no clue who they are. So I have stopped keeping up with popular culture, apparently myself. Not intentionally.
It seems like a lot of the art that's selling is pop art.
Yeah, pop art is
back.
Pop art. I don't think pop art really ever disappeared, but maybe it's back in a bigger way.
All right.
It's a movement that's still moving. Surrealism doesn't want to die either. There's still some surrealist artists out there. I love surrealism. Those two 20th century movements are hanging on.
All right, we're about ready to start with the pen and ink. I'm going to need all the time I can get here with the ink. at some point, I'm just going to have to say that the proportions are going to have to be the way they are. Not try to get
Yeah, I
too
liken what we do here
controlled.
on this show with the timer to drawing. I know we work from photographs, but it feels a little bit like we're not working from photographs because when you're working from three-dimensional references in front of you or out on location, maybe a little bit less so if you're inside. But if you're working outside, you still have to race against the sun and the change in shadows. So sometimes when we're sketching, quote unquote, on location, we have these same challenges to overcome. And so when I sketch, I like to kind of have a goal in mind. Like what is it I'm trying to get out of this sketch? Is it sort of a value study, or am I trying to learn about how this media and the subject pair together? Now we don't always, I guess we really never define the goal of our sketches here on Getting Sketchy, but it might be useful to do so. What do we want to capture? What do we want to focus on? Because in a 45-minute time frame or sketching for an hour outside, there's a limit to what you can focus on. And so one of those things could be proportion. We could choose to focus on the proportions for the entire 45 minutes and really nail that down, but maybe do no shading. Or we could, the shading, the value scale or contrast might be more of our focus and less on character or proportion. So sometimes it's good to define what aspects of your reference you're really trying to capture if you have a limited amount of time, like here or sometimes if you're sketching outdoors.
All right, I'm starting with the
Here we
ink
go.
here. I have no idea how much time we have spent so far.
You drew for about 11 and a half minutes or so.
All right, well, there's light hitting the upper side of the body. So this is where we're going to have the sparsest lines. So I'm going to really be concentrating in the darker areas and in some of the contour lines initially. So contour lines are the outlines, but I can go ahead and get pretty dark up here in this ear. And of course, I'm going to be making strokes that flow along with the fur. And I'm also going to try to keep the palm of my hand out of the way here as much as possible to avoid any smearing of the ink. I have no idea if this paper is prone to smearing, but it is very smooth.
So that's one of our goals with this drawing tonight, is to test out the paper.
Yeah, absolutely.
Buddy says sketching a lot helps so much for better and more accurate drawings with drawing anything. Just learned that on one of the courses I'm currently following. So much great stuff there. Well, thank you for that comment, Buddy. And you're so right. When you think about finished art versus a sketch, if all of our artwork is intended to be finished artwork, we're going to get through a lot less drawings. So by incorporating the sketch as a habit into our process, into our learning and our creative process, we just get to experience drawing so many more drawings and so many more subjects, and that that experience goes right into our toolbox.
All right, and with the contour line, I'm going to allow it to be a little furry and maybe exaggerate it a little bit. We don't want to turn the bear into a wolf, but
Enrique has a comment. He says, "Hi, Matt and Ashley. People that draw hyper-realistic drawings always use a grid question, and usually that is the case, Enrique."
they either use a grid or they'll project it.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
So sometimes they're not so interested in what I think is extremely fun, and that is capturing proportions and sort of judging your drawing and figuring out what to change. They want to get to the hyper realistic portion and not have a lot of erasing to do in order to get there. So projections and the grid, and of course one of the most famous photorealistic artist, I guess, would be. He's not really hyper realistic, but I guess photorealistic was the term that was used. Is Chuck Close, and eventually the grid became an integral part, a visible and integral part of his artwork as his art became less and less photorealistic. But he still hung on to using the grid.
Part of that was because of his condition.
Right, right. It was really a response to paralysis.
All right, so we have this plane right here. We got this plane that's catching light, and then the side of the face is darker. So we're going to get that light area established by making it darker around it.
Yeah, you got to be tricky with pen and ink. Matt can only make dark marks, but he has a lot of light on this bear. We've got a super chat.
All right.
From Big Blue Minamiku. And she says, question for Ashley and Matt. In your experience, which other mediums would you say are best suited to a Bristol board above all other papers?
I would say the best surface or the best media for Bristol paper is pen and ink or colored pencils.
You like colored pencils on Bristol paper?
Oh, yeah.
What about marker?
I don't really use it that much anymore, but for a long time I did.
All right. I really mostly just use Bristol board with pen and ink myself. I'll have to try colored pencils on there. Now, there's two Bristol surfaces, right?
There's smooth and then there's vellum.
And you use the vellum with the colored pencils?
Vellum with colored pencils, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to use the smooth with colored pencils. And that's a furry
All
bear,
right.
boo-boo.
Well, I'm gonna try that. Colored pencils on vellum Bristol board.
All right, and we're a little dark underneath the chin here too. So just pay attention to the way the fur grows. And mimic that as best as we can. Make that line a little thicker for the mouth. So you can see how hungry that bear is. Ready to eat. It's ready to eat something.
Jazz says, "How did you get a pic of my husband?" I hope he's not watching this with you.
Well, yeah, that's a tricky one. He posed for it, you know.
But he says, thanks for the fair clarification about the surfaces. Vellum for colored pencils works good. Hence, I prefer more tooth. That's right. Got to have a little bit of tooth. Hang on.
Yeah, I've kind of got into having more tooth too. The vellum surface has enough tooth to get maybe 3 or 4 layers on there. But these days I really like having a little bit more tooth with the colored pencils.
But he says the bear's smiling. It's very cute. Ready to find some honey. That's what he's looking at. A big beehive in a tree. He's going to leap for it. I've always found bears to be, I mean, there's a lot of strange animals on the planet. Bears are very common in our area, so maybe that I shouldn't find them to be strange. But, and I think I've mentioned this before on the program, because I talk about it frequently enough, I realize. Bears to me seem like a hybrid animal. I feel like they're a little bit like a big cat, a little bit like a tiger or something like that. And they're a little bit like an ape, like a gorilla. So to me, a bear is a cross between like a big cat and a gorilla.
That's interesting.
That's where they fall. If I were to classify the animal kingdom myself, it seemed like a cross between those two. They're a little bit like both.
All right. I feel like I'm going
Lord Engine says
slow
bears,
here.
cats, and dogs are in the same family.
Well, gee, just watch Gettin.
Yeah, This show,
Because we're going to tell you all of the wrong
we're
things.
going to tell you, we're going to reveal how much we don't know about the subjects that we choose to draw.
Well, in drawing this bear right here, he does feel more like a domesticated animal. You know?
You're domesticating them. This is how we domesticated animals. We went out and drew pictures of horses, and eventually they started behaving.
Yep, that's exactly what
That's
happened.
how you do it. That's how you break a horse. Draw a picture of it.
Just draw him. So they got Mr. Ed to talk on that show.
Oh gosh, nobody knows who Mr. Ed is.
I know that really.
That's before us.
Some people know who Mr. Ed is. Well, a horse is a horse, of course, of course.
I think the same guy who did Mr. Ed's voice did Yogi Bear.
He might have been. Okay,
There's a similarity there.
I think they gave Mr. Ed, to get him to talk, I think they gave him like carrots or apples or something. He was just chewing, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
And
They just put a bunch of peanut butter on apples and stuck them in his mouth.
Put a voice on it.
So we've got Charles 0616 with us here, Matt. Yeah. Charles is a retired zookeeper, so he knows.
Oh my gosh!
He knows exactly how much.
Oh my gosh!
By listening to us.
Well, he can tell us. He can tell us how wrong we are about the bears.
Now I'm nervous. I'm not going to talk about bears.
We're not saying anything else about the animal.
Let's just talk about pens and paper.
Right. There's. Yeah, I don't even know what to say now. I feel silly. Maybe he worked at a zoo.
That's right.
That didn't have a bear.
No, he worked with bears specifically. Black bears.
Oh my
speckled
gosh.
Bears. I know. Well, I don't know how bears are supposed to look before hibernation, but this bear to me looks like he's well prepared to hibernate for the winter.
I think he looks like he has just woken up from hibernation. Thus, is so furry.
He's sleepy. He needs looking around.
He needs a good shave.
Yeah. Terry has a suggestion from RC Crochet.
Okay.
For a Gettin Sketchy season. I think we've talked about this before, maybe just Matt and I ourselves. She says it would be fun for us to, Matt picks out the references for me and I pick out the references for you. But we choose our own medium. That would take a lot of coordination between one Wednesday and another between Matt and I. So, but it's doable. We'll think about it. It's a little like the wheel, which isn't exactly the same, but we ended up drawing references that the other person had picked out, but it wasn't a guarantee. Sometimes we would get our own, and sometimes we would get one another's choices.
And I can't remember what season that was, really.
Well, we were calling them by the wrong numbers back then.
Yeah.
So whatever we said in those videos, you have to.
Well, it's on the Virtual Instructor.
Yeah, that's right.
If you go to the virtualinstructor.com and go to the blog, you'll eventually come across all the Gettin Sketchy seasons, and they're all there. All the episodes are there. Just go to the Virtual Instructor, click on Explore in the main menu, and then click on the blog, and then you'll find it.
Well, I'll tell you who can find them for sure. Apparently, it's Caker Shaker. I'm sorry, Caker Shake. Because Caker Shake, she says, or he says, I'm on a mission to draw all of your Gettin Sketchy drawings.
Oh,
this will be my 17th. Wow.
So this will be the 17th drawing?
Yes.
Okay.
So you are...
That means you've done a season and a half.
There. Yeah, you're 15% there. You're doing great.
15%, 17 drawings, and that's 15%.
12 seasons, 10 drawings per season. It's 120. So almost 15% there.
So I'm moving down the right side here, or the left side, because I'm going to move from the left to right here. We're going to start getting real dark underneath here. A lot of hatching and cross hatching here. All right, so we've got this little leg or arm that comes up right there, and there's a lighter value there, and then it gets really dark and underneath here. And I'm going to try to do all the value with hatch marks.
All right.
And I'm going to try to go quick enough to be close to finishing this.
And I got a quick question from Terry about reference images.
Mm-hmm.
She asks, for the YouTube lessons that are not a part of Getting Sketchy, is there a way to get the reference photos?
For the YouTube lessons that aren't part of Gettin
YouTube
Sketchy?
lessons that are not part of Getting Sketchy.
Yeah, I have not posted them anywhere. I have a backlog of the YouTube videos, the free ones, that I would like to put on the website. They will eventually be on the website with the references.
Okay.
When I get a chance to catch up.
So look
I
forward
have
to
at
that in the
least
future.
I have at least 10 or 11 of the most recent ones to do that. All of the older ones are on the website with the reference photo.
Okay.
Yeah. With the reference photos.
Just the most
It's just the most
ones.
recent last 10 or 11 videos that I still need to get caught up. I've got most of those videos transcribed at this point, and I just have to post them with the images and everything. It's a lot of work to do everything. It's a lot of work to get the videos out and then get the post out and everything else. So it will eventually get there. I only post the Gettin Sketchy references really on the community tab. But I have another YouTube video coming out. Not sure if I'm going to post it Thursday or Friday. It's finished. I just haven't. It's portrait drawing with charcoal. It's another one of the hour-long drawing exercises. And it will come out either Thursday or Friday, more than likely on Friday. And maybe I'll post the reference on the community tab in the meantime.
Matt, I have a question from Buddy, and I've had a chance to think about it a little bit. It's really got me thinking, Buddy. The question was, would a left-handed person start drawing this reference image from the other side?
A left-handed person could.
Then it crossed my mind because I'm looking at the direction of fur growth.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is just perfect for a right-handed person. So what I would ask, would a left-handed person subconsciously not choose this reference?
I'll tell you what a left-handed person could do. They could draw it exactly the same way that I'm drawing it.
Mm-hmm.
Or they could start from the left, start from the rump and work to the
right
to the head. Or they could use Photoshop or another program like that and just flip the drawing or flip the reference around.
That's what I'm wondering is, would a left-handed person be more likely to choose a subject that's already facing the other direction?
Maybe, but I don't really.
know.
When I look at references, I don't really think about that. I think because I know I can manipulate them, and if I didn't like the way this bear was oriented in the image, I would just flip it.
Yeah, and we do that kind of stuff anyway sometimes.
Oh, all the time.
Not necessarily because of our right-handedness, but just feels to read better. We read here in the West from left to right. So a lot of times, some artists believe that people kind of come into a picture from the left. I don't know if that's true. There are ways to track people's eye movements when they look at pictures, which is pretty cool. But I don't have a way to do that myself to test it.
Okay, now that we've got a little bit of shadow under here, the value in the hatching on the head makes a little bit more sense. Still
Definitely.
could go a little bit darker on this side of the playing here, or this side of the head.
We got our value range in place now.
So we've got light hitting right up here. We need sparse marks up here.
Right. Lee says that she's left-handed and she flips the reference, which works. So there you go.
There you go.
That way you're still sort of working along, especially if you're drawn along with Matt.
You know,
Working in the same areas and keeping your hand out of the way.
did we have a super chat back there?
Yeah.
Did you read that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Well, I didn't do the cheer.
Yeah.
Gotta have the cheer.
I felt like something was missing. Thanks again for the super chats.
And I looked at the clock, and holy cow, I've got 15 minutes.
I've
left.
been trying not to talk about it, but it has come up in the chat.
Oh, people are
There's
like,
not
there's
a
no
lot
way.
people are getting a little nervous.
I haven't even looked at it. I haven't even looked at it. There's.
Yeah, and while Matt's been working, I've been thinking about the drawing that Matt has been working on during the live lesson. And it is very, very meticulous.
Oh my God, meticulous is an understatement.
Right. So that is sort of the mind frame that Matt's been in for a few weeks. And then he's picked up this pen, which is a super tiny medium. So we're gonna have to crack the whip on him.
I told Ashley this. I wanted to work with pastel or charcoal. I know that's going to be surprising to some of you guys, but that's sarcastic. But I felt like it's been so long since we've done anything with pen and ink that people would want to see pen and ink. And then I told him, I was like, I'm concerned that I'm not even get close to being finished with this because it's pen and ink. And I usually work really slowly with pen and ink. But you know what? I'm going to put a little bit of fire underneath me right now. And I'm going to go really fast.
Yeah, I'll sometimes listen to lots of podcasts and stuff like that. And I heard somebody say how much time it takes to do a task is however much time you have.
Yeah, there's
some truth to that. Yeah,
It's,
I will spend a day doing something if I don't have something else to do that I could do in 2 hours.
Yeah, there's a
razor or a law.
Yeah, there's like a it's not a real law. It's
Right.
not like,
Axiom.
oh, I caught you doing that, you're going to prison.
Yeah. You took
It's a
much time in your
theoretical
drawing.
law,
Yeah.
That the amount of time that you give to a task, just like you said, is how long you end up spending on it. And look how much faster I'm getting this arm in.
Look at that. Look at him go.
All right, it gets really dark down here, almost black. We're not gonna make it black down here. We're gonna still use hatching and cross hatching and keep our directional strokes.
Well, Terry's got a good law. It's the law of space. You fill however much you have. That's good. It's true. When you move to a place that's larger, for more space, it's crazy how fast you run out of space.
All right. Really getting sketchy down here.
We're living up to
Just the name
the
here.
name of the show. Well, there's not a great amount of time left on the clock, but you do have almost 12 minutes. But it is worth pointing out that you were working in the face at the very beginning, which just you have to go a little bit slower. And now you've got some area where there's broader values of texture.
Right. I think there's still a chance.
Yeah, there's still a chance.
There's still a chance. I'm really liking the drawing, though. Don't want to ruin it by trying to go too quickly.
Yeah, you want to do that.
Trying to get the fur texture and the value. And for those who don't know what I mean by value, value is the darkness or lightness of a color. So it's basic. Most of the time when people say that they're developing the value, or you might hear people say, I'm going to shade it.
Yeah.
I'm going to shade the drawing. They're just talking about adding the value.
Because values can be light too. You know,
Right.
Shades are dark.
Shade is actually a term for darker values, and tints are the lighter values. But people say shade when they
Just generally talk about adding value.
Well, I guess if you're using in this case, I guess we are shading the
Yeah,
drawing.
because we're usually working from a light surface down
we're working
into
on
the dark.
the darker areas.
Right. You're definitely adding shades now.
Now
And
the
of
reason,
course, the pen only makes one value, black.
right?
So Matt has to control or create the value by paying attention to how much white paper is showing through and stopping before it's too late and it's all black. So with a drawing like this, when we look at those lighter values, like for example, up near the shoulder, not quite on the back where we can't see the texture because the light is so intense, but up near his shoulder, kind of behind his forward ear, we can see a lot of fur in that area. I mean, there is a ton of small, tiny little furs. Fur that could be marks, tiny little marks. But some of those marks are black, some of them are brown, some are light brown. And Matt only has black. So we just have to put down sparse marks in the very lightest tints. More sparse, less marks than we can see fur in order to capture the value. And it's more important to capture the value than it is to capture all of the texture. Value is the foundational element of art. It makes all the other elements work. Texture, on the other hand, like fur, it's just a surface. You could draw this bear with charcoal and make him smooth and leave out all of the fur, and it would still look just like this bear. We wouldn't have the texture. That element of art would be sort of missing, and it still wouldn't disturb the illusion. But you could make a bear shape of the same texture marks all the way across, and it wouldn't look much like a bear at all. It would just look like this flat little shape of chaos.
And if I was using charcoal, I'd be done with the drawing.
Yeah, definitely. So when you work with pen and ink or mark making like this, where you can't really blend it out, don't ever let the texture dominate the value. Would be my advice.
I'm gonna use a little bit of a broken line up here on his back.
That's good.
Because that is where the lightest value is.
Broken lines.
You
folks out there wondering, broken lines look lighter than solid lines because those little white gaps make you feel like it's a gray line instead of a black line.
All right, and we're going to get fast again. And see, here's an area where his arm is. We're going to let it be a little bit lighter. And it's going to get darker right behind it. And it'll translate as a little bit of a highlight. I'll tell you what, I know I've only got 6 minutes left. But let's see. That belly goes down really fast.
That's why I keep saying I think he's ready to hibernate. It looks like he's dragging his belly on the rocks.
I wonder if that's a leg.
Is his other leg filling the space, and we just can't see an edge between the leg and the belly. That could be what's happening there, man.
Now the fur does kind of curve around. So I'm going to use a combination of marks that are kind of flowing down the back of the bear and under the belly, and also some marks that are flowing upwards here around the cross contour of the body. So this is really the darkest area right here in the entire composition. Anyway, I know I've only got now 5 minutes and 37 seconds left, but you know what? If I need to take more than 5 minutes and 35 whatever seconds, I think I'll be able to finish it. I think I'll be able to finish this within 10 minutes. Let's put it that way.
All right, well, and it's 7:20 now, so that'd be just about right.
At least bring it to a state where it can be called finished. A little bit of variety
Now,
in here.
Buddy has another comment about potential themes, sort of, for the show.
Okay.
And I don't think we've thought about this one before. I'm going to add a little bit to it. Buddy suggests that a getting sketchy. It could be one lesson, or I'm imagining it as being stretched out, kind of centered around the elements of art, like drawings that showcase the elements of art. And we can kind of talk about those elements specifically and individually while we work on those drawings.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, and it could be combo. We could pick out elements and principles to focus on, and then showcase them, because the elements and principles, folks, are really the language of art, and there's just a few of them. And once you become pretty comfortable with using them, then it becomes a lot easier to communicate with your artwork, to make an expression out of it.
Yeah, what we see basically in the world around us, what we see are the elements of art.
Right.
And our mind puts together that information and makes sense of the world around us. So we really see lines, shapes, values, forms, textures,
color, space.
And it's our mind that tells us what those things are. So when you create a drawing or a painting, you're creating an illusion. And you're tricking the mind of the viewer into believing that what your drawing is a depiction of that subject. So I'm using line right here.
Tonight's
shape,
a lot about
texture,
line
value.
Yeah, you can't separate the elements from one another entirely, and have an actual expression or drawing. They're always working together, but you can push some of them sort of to the foreground. And in this case, I would say line and texture would push to the foreground, but value is always going to be there. Value is still the most important element. It makes the other elements happen.
I think bears, you're talking about the animals that bears are like.
Yeah.
I think bears are most like Ewoks.
That's funny. My dog looks like an Ewok, and his name is Bear.
Oh, that is funny.
Yeah. And he looks just like one of the Ewoks.
Well, are you sure he's not an Ewok?
He's just hiding on planet Earth as a bear till the Empire leaves his planet. I don't know.
All right. So the hair gets a little bit longer back here, but again, it's mostly a highlight. So I'm just going to put an indication of the edge, since we're not going to have anything behind it, and then bring these hatch marks up to the edge where I have a little bit of space. And I'm going to need to erase the pencil lines here at the end too. I really like this paper.
Okay, well that's good, because it's your first time using it.
It's perfect for pen and ink. It really is. It's nice and smooth.
Now, did it come in a pad?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You didn't have it like huge sheets.
No, they were. I think it's a weird size, but it's smaller. I have the pad here right beside me. I'll check in a minute. Just remind me, because I'll forget for sure. And now, even though we've got a lot of dark marks in here, there's still variation. There's still variety. So you need to pay close attention to the areas where it gets a little bit darker, and make it a little bit darker. But just be careful that you don't go too dark too quickly. That's really the thing you have to be careful of with pen and ink drawing. Because once you go too dark, there's no going back. Just want to bring out that haunch right there.
Terry asks, did the paper come from Japan? But it's Canson paper.
It's
so
Canson
I
paper,
assume
yeah.
it came from France.
Yeah.
Maybe they make it somewhere else. Buddy had asked, what is an Ewok?
Oh no.
And Lord Engine had a pretty good summary. It's like teddy bears with spears.
Yeah, that's pretty much what
So they're a
Star
creature from a
Wars.
Star Wars movie. And they're
Star Wars
very cute,
universe.
cuddly, about knee high.
9 seconds. So we're gonna go the full 9 seconds. Oh, I'm gonna go a little bit longer. And honestly, I told Ashley before this, so he can attest to this.
Mm.
I had no plans of finishing this heel.
Yeah.
I was going to put a little bit of information in it, but I think right now what I might do is I was going to put minimal information.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a shadow underneath the bear, but then I'm just going to make this line really interesting.
Okay.
And, or try to make it really interesting.
So Matt is going to be introducing the principle of art emphasis into this art piece, because he's going to have one area in this way. I think there's like 5 or 6 ways to create emphasis. And one of the ways is to have a more finished area inside of a composition to draw the eye. So.
Which that was my original intention.
Right. It was part
but
of
I was
Matt's
going to put a
intention.
little bit of information in here. But now we're just going to concentrate on the line. Now that the time's up, I can slow down. I still really like this drawing. It's furry. It's a furry drawing.
Mm-hmm. You like that.
I'm just saying stuff.
Terry says, incredible how much you got done in such a short time. Looks great.
Well, it's a small little area. So I appreciate the comment, but it's really not. There's a lot of lines. I did get a lot of lines.
Oh, yeah. Lots of, yeah. Charles says that bear looks super, super great, unbearable.
All right, now it's time for the bear puns to come in.
Mm.
I'm sure you guys have some great bear puns.
Unbearably cute from Orion Nebula.
All right, that's a good one. What else you got, guys?
Barely time left. You have
barely time. All right.
Charles again.
All right, very good.
Now, Charles is going to know all the bear puns because he worked with bears.
Right, and the bears told him all of them.
All right, so where he got his jokes from was the bears. Keith says, looks like a book illustration, and it really does. And I had a book when I was a kid about a bear who was found in the woods by a boy, and the boy took him home and raised him, and eventually got too big, was destroying the house, and they had to make him go back out in the woods. And those were pen and ink drawings.
I thought that story was going to end differently.
I
thought the boy was going to get eaten by the bear.
No, but he was real sad, and he would go visit the bear.
And it would be a cautionary tale about bringing home bears as pets.
I think that's how it went. And all I can really remember, Matt, are the chapter illustrations.
Yeah.
And the bear was like knocking over a curio, a place, and stuff like that. It was really funny.
Well, you can't bring a bear in the house, can you?
Mm-mm. Steve said at least you got the bare necessity done.
Right, so. That's a good one. It's the bear's necessities.
Ann says, I'm barely late to chat, but this looks great. Colleen responds, bear with us.
Yeah, bear with me. That's a good one. All right. So now I'm going to create a interesting thicker line here. So I'm going to go with the 0.5 pen here, and we're going to try to add a little bit of interest here with the line. So I'm going to let this line be really rocky and really informative, hopefully.
But he says, Ashley, I still have my very first books and love the way they were illustrated at that time. Yeah, me too. I still have all of mine. Takes you back. He says all these puns are grisly.
I like that.
Puns are grisly.
All right, gonna put a little shadow underneath there. And then we'll erase out. All right, I'm gonna put just a little bit more information here. few indications of some rocks, maybe. Not to get too carried away where it just looks unfinished.
Mm-hmm. They kind of dissipate as you go out into emptiness. So it feels intentional. Charles says the bear is excellent, but the background is a bit bare.
I like that. That's a good one. Yeah, it's barely there.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be barely there.
Now, Buddy has a question about, and she may be thinking about her own drawing here. I don't know. But she says, would it make sense to color in the background, leaving the bear black?
We certainly could do that.
I feel like if I were going to add color to the piece, then I would want to add color to the bear also. Now, maybe that's because because we see the brownness in the original photo.
Yeah, definitely.
So I would probably want to use like a weak brown marker and hit the bear some too. That's just me. And I'm thinking, Matt's working with pen, so mine kind of went to marker as the suitable color medium to use on this paper. But different paper, you could do it with watercolor or something like that. Anne says, who remembers the bear claws? The pastry. Oh, we all remember bear claws. They're still great. Although I am partial to cream horns.
What?
Cream horns. That's my favorite. I guess my favorite pastry, a cream horn.
What is a cream horn?
It's like a twisted pastry,
I think you're
like a
making that
ram's
up.
horn, and it's hollow inside, and there's like sugary cream. Make bear claws and cream horns.
Oh, I just got an idea. We're gonna have a few of these rocks falling over.
Oh, it's an action piece now. I like that. That added some interest.
He's on the edge.
Yeah.
He's thinking about it.
It's
Don't do it.
now.
Don't do it. This has got a completely different tone now.
Mm-hmm.
Wish you would back up from that ledge, my friend.
All right. Eliza says, very nice. Love it. My husband wanted me to draw a bear for a long time. Now he got it. Charles says he loves this sketch.
All right.
Yeah, that's nice job.
Okay.
That was a great way to finish the piece off.
I didn't really have much of a choice.
Right. Great solution you were forced into.
All right, I'm going to erase the pencil lines here. They're still a little bit visible. And I'm going to go up here where the ink should be dry. The needed eraser. And
now
hopefully,
we can see that broken line.
Yeah,
work.
that's So now you can see how that works as a highlight. I got to get those dark values in before you see the highlight.
Gosh, that cliff looks steep. Nancy says he's barely hanging on.
He's barely hanging on. Wish you would step out from the ledge, my friend. I am an awful singer, and the only time I sing is when I'm live in front of people I don't know.
He doesn't even sing alone.
I don't sing alone. All right. Okay, just about 45 minutes.
Yeah,
more like 55 minutes. But anyway,
that's okay. I'm going to bank that time and use it when I need it later on in the season.
For sure.
And I know I will, because I also can't finish on time most of the time.
Yeah, and this is a tight time restraint. 45 minutes. It's good
It
for
is.
some mediums, and some mediums it is very, very challenging.
I've struggled with small mark making myself, Matt,
Yeah, and this is a small mark making medium
for sure.
But maybe a little bit of ink wash and stuff would have sped things up a little bit, but that would have changed the entire image. So I'm pretty happy. I think it's a cool little relationship between kind of the more graphic style
Yeah.
and the more
Yeah,
representational.
a lot of
style.
variety there. You ended up with a lot of variety of line, variety in your line. Now, let's see. We've got a couple questions maybe to wrap up. Jazz
All right.
says, are you guys every Wednesday? What's your schedule? I'm here for the singing. Yeah, we're on every Wednesday for 11 weeks, and then we take a short break for a number or a few weeks between seasons.
Yeah.
So we go live here Eastern Standard Time at 6:30 for 11 Wednesdays in a row. And so we're only on week 4 right now. So we've still got 7 more weeks to go before we have a break.
Except last Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
Last Wednesday I was gone, so we didn't do it last Wednesday. But
And we try to announce when that's happening, but
Yeah.
we've had other things happen, like one of us gets sick or something like that. We try to let you
Yeah.
guys know if we can. ahead
But
of time.
if you like this kind of stuff, then you'll really like the live lessons because they're for an hour long. There's not a time crunch,
We work on the same image for numerous weeks until
Yeah.
we're finished.
and you can create art alongside of us. This, honestly, 45 minutes. Some folks are going to struggle getting this much information on the paper in 45 minutes. And we encourage you to work at your own pace.
And to
of
work
course.
longer than 45 minutes. No, you don't have the same timer that we do. It's
Right.
Fun, it's fun for you to do that as an exercise, but work longer on your own drawings for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's it. Thank you guys for your comments. I see those there. And yeah, then the live lesson. Yeah. Next, I'm going to be drawing leaves and bark. In the next.
You're going to draw an
hour.
environment that the bear does not have.
Right.
So you got
right.
the
I'm
bear
going to
in this
draw the
picture,
environment.
and draw the
that-
environment in a different one. It's great.
with graphite. But for those of you who are going to join us on the live lesson, we'll see you in a minute. Let's
Yep.
go ahead and switch
There we
back
go.
up over here. Alrighty, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. I definitely enjoyed this drawing. It's been a minute since I've worked with pen and ink, and if you like pen and ink, then there are a couple courses that you'll love at the Virtual Instructor. There's the Pen and Ink Experience, which is really designed for beginners. In that course, we do a landscape drawing, we do still life, we talk about mark making, and we also do a portrait. And then there's the Subjects with Pen and Ink course. And in that course, we do 30 or 31, I think it's 30 subjects in pen and ink. So there's 30 different subjects, and they're all categorized. They're all grouped together. So we do a section on food, still life, landscape, people, and that includes portraiture, of course. So both of those courses are part of the membership program, and you can find that at thevirtualinstructor.com. And Ashley, have anything else?
I can tell you that I don't know what we're going to be drawing together next week. So I guess I don't have, but I'll decide in the next couple of days. I'm thinking about, I used a color media last time and charcoal before that. So we may go black and white next week, and it may be graphite.
Okay.
So we may do a graphite drawing this week. That's
All
where
right.
I'm leaning.
And I have a solution for the graphite shine,
Oh, great.
which
Great. Can't wait to hear that.
you'll see in just a minute.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, guys. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment. All that stuff is helpful. And as always, I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I wish you all the very best in your artistic success. With that, we're going to go ahead and sign out for this evening. Good night, everybody.